Tyson Fury recently did this interview right here. He talked about a lot of things, Eddie Hearn, Dylan White, his fight against Tom Schwartz, and a whole heap of other stuff. One of the things that he said is that if Eddie Hearn says another negative word about him, he's going to slap his teeth in. Now, I do find this a bit rich coming from Tyson Fury because he is the one who has instigated most of the back and forth between himself and Eddie Hearn. Years ago, Eddie Hearn would never say a bad word about Tyson Fury in public. He was just praiseful. But all Tyson Fury did in public was slag off and bash Eddie Hearn. And then, of course, when Anthony Joshua became a world champion, then his focus became not only Eddie Hearn, but Anthony Joshua too. Slagging off the pair of them constantly. Eventually, after years of Tyson Fury slagging him off, AJ and Eddie Hearn started responding to Fury in kind. And now Fury comes out and says, if they say anything negative about me, I'm going to slap Hearn's teeth in. He's accused Hearn of being envious of him and all this kind of business. No, Hearn is basically trying to give as good as he gets at this point. That's the reality of it. The Fury fanboys are going to talk nonsense in the comment section. I'm sure they're going to say they're going to call me Hearn, man, and say that I work for Matchroom and all this other nonsense and lies. The reality is what I'm saying is true. If you can't handle the truth, then you've got the issue, okay? Fury has been on the offensive, picking at Eddie Hearn for years, long before Eddie Hearn responded. So now Hearn responds, and Fury says, I'm going to slap his teeth in. Look, Fury even goes to the point of saying, I say we call a truce. I guarantee you that if they call a truce, if Eddie Hearn says, okay, I ain't going to slag Tyson Fury off no more, Fury's going to be the one who breaks the truce. Guarantee it. That's just how Fury stays, man. And, you know, this fight against Tom Schwartz has really been exposed already, even though he's undefeated. The Senad Gashi fight exposed him. And he was kind of a little bit exposed by Fabio Wardley. Because Fabio Wardley fought some unbelievably overweight Eastern European journeyman who's based in Germany. I forget the guy's name. He got some kind of Eastern European name. I think it's a Polish name. He weighed over 350 pounds. I mean, casuals look at the guy who Fabio Wardley just fought, this obese journeyman, and they think that that's who Anthony Joshua's fighting. Well, as overweight as Andy Ruiz is, he's about 100 pounds lighter than the guy Fabio Wardley just fought. And I'm not trying to criticize Fabio Wardley. He's only a prospect. The point I'm making is that same obese journeyman fought Tom Schwartz and went the distance against Schwartz. Fabio Wardley managed to take him out in, 4 or 5 rounds or whatever it was. But that same insanely overweight journeyman went the distance with Tom Schwartz. That puts into perspective the level Tom Schwartz is at, along with the fact that Schwartz went life and death, if truth be told, with Senad Gashi. He found the going so tough against Senad Gashi, and it wasn't the Thriller in Manila, people, but that really is indicative of Tom Schwartz's mindset. Because in the second round, Tom Schwartz attempted to quit in the Senad Gashi fight. That's what he did. He tried to win an Oscar with his absurd performance, acting like he'd been knocked out cold from a Senad Gashi headbutt, hoping that they'd call the fight off and, give him the win by disqualification. He eventually did get the win by disqualification later on in the fight, but the fact he tried to get it as early as the second round, that's not a good sign, people. Let's be real. So, Tyson Fury is trying to sell mutton dressed as lamb with this Tom Schwartz fight. Now, I take things on a case-by-case basis as well as looking at the big picture. And I said previously, if Tyson Fury is going to fight Deontay Wilder later on in 2019 in a rematch, or even Anthony Joshua, I can't be too mad at a Tom Schwartz fight because he's on a new platform in the United States on ESPN. They're trying to sell him. They're trying to build up his profile. So if he takes a little tick over against a joker like Tom Schwartz, cool. I got no issue with that. Many great fighters in the past have done similar things. But if this is going to be the kind of level that Tyson Fury is fighting for the foreseeable future, for the entirety of 2019 and possibly beyond, then I do have a problem with it. Because how can you be criticizing other fighters and pointing fingers when you're fighting the likes of a Tom Schwartz and that level of opponent? So we'll see what transpires here, people. But this is another case of Tyson Fury being hypocritical, I would say, talking about he's going to slap Hearn's teeth in if he says anything negative again. Well, you've been saying negative things about Hearn from the very beginning. Ever since Hearn had this heavyweight called Anthony Joshua, who you knew would eventually be a rival of yours, you've been putting the digs in to Eddie Hearn and eventually putting the digs into Anthony Joshua. I remember long before Anthony Joshua won a world title, when Tyson Fury started turning hostile towards AJ and Hearn. I remember that. It wasn't AJ who started that. It wasn't Hearn who started that. It was Fury who started that. And I think that was actually jealousy. Fury saw the adulation that this young, heavyweight prospect in AJ that he was getting from the British public. And he started feeling envious about that. He started thinking, I should be in that position. Why don't they adore me like they adore this guy? I've been around much longer as a professional than this guy. Why is he getting all the adulation? That's what was going through Tyson Fury's head, in my opinion. And he got kind of bitter about it and started taking digs at AJ. Then he started taking digs at Hearn. And then eventually it spread over to taking digs at AJ. You know, very hypocritical of him to be saying what he's saying. Of course, if you don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. If you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. If you don't want none, don't start none. You know what I mean? This mudslinging on social media, if you don't want to be part of it, then don't start it. Because that's what Tyson Fury does most of the time, is he starts this mudslinging. Certainly with the case with, Hearn and AJ, he's been slinging mud at them from a long time. Don't be mad when they respond. That's part of the game. So anyway, Fury versus Schwartz will be on June 15th. And here's the thing about Fury versus Schwartz. It actually puts Tyson Fury in a very good position because his fight is after Deontay Wilder's fight against Brazil, which is on the 18th of this month, and Anthony Joshua's fight against Ruiz, which is on the 1st of June, because those are much tougher fights. So if Deontay Wilder has a tough time against Brazil or loses, or Anthony Joshua has a tough time against Ruiz or loses, Tyson Fury, who we know is not going to have a tough time against Tom Schwartz, can come out looking and smelling like roses. Because these other two guys struggled, but Tyson Fury easily defeats and clowns Tom Schwartz. And he can say, see, AJ just a big, stiff bodybuilder. He'd never beat me. Look how he struggled with that little fat kid, Andy Ruiz. See, I destroyed my opponent. And most people, if a scenario like that unfolds where Wilder and AJ both struggle, Tyson Fury just beating a Tom Schwartz will be enough to convince maybe even the majority of boxing fans that Fury is the number one in the division. Yeah, that'll be enough. So I think it was, I don't know if it was coincidental or maybe it's just good planning on behalf of Team Fury and Bob Arum, but the fact that he's fighting after AJ and Wilder is definitely a good thing for him against by far the weakest opponent that anybody's fighting. You look at the top four, if you see the top four heavyweights as AJ, Fury, Wilder, and maybe Dillian Whyte, although an argument could be made that Dillian Whyte is, some people would say he's not top four because they'd put Ortiz there, they might put Povetkin there, whatever, but he's definitely in some people's top four. But out of those four fighters, AJ, Fury, Wilder, and Whyte, Fury is by far fighting the weakest opponent. I mean, it's not even close. Rivas, way tougher than Tom Schwartz. Dominic Brazil, way tougher than Tom Schwartz. Andy Ruiz, way tougher than Tom Schwartz. But you're only as good as your last performance. And I think people will kind of disregard the fact that Tyson Fury is fighting by far the weakest opponent. If AJ and Wilder struggle, they'll just look at Fury looking like $1 million against Schwartz and say, you see, he was the best all along. Totally neglecting to see that he's fighting a joker in Schwartz, a guy who tried to quit in the second round against Senagashi. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.